Hello, all. So, this is my video to show you how I made my journal for Junk Journal July. So, I had a little bit of a dilemma, but I decided to go with this basic McDonald's bag that we get here in France. And I turned it into just a simple fold over flap kind of journal. This paper that I decided to use is from Pepin. I don't know if you know that company, but they make excellent, very beautiful prints of paper. So I decided to use this one because the theme is pink, and this is the closest to pink that I could get that I would really like. So it's kind of like a pinky red, but it's still going towards the pink all the same. So I decided to go with this one. And in the end, I only use half of the sheet because the sheet is quite large. It's folded into four, but I used only half of it. So I can always use the other half for another journal at another time, which I'm kind of happy about because I really like this red one with the butterflies. I just think it's so beautiful. So I am now cutting this in half and getting ready to cover the journal and to sort of make it look like a journal. Now, it took me a minute to do the measuring of this McDonald's bag because what I did was I cut it around the sides and then folded it over once I had got it cut and laid out flat. And that's how I got this particular shape and size. So this part is pretty easy. Just simply lining the crease up to the crease on the paper because I don't want to crease in the middle of the cover page or the back page. So I've put the crease of the journal onto the crease of the paper. And after that, it's just a matter of gluing it really well. And I always use my stick for this because if you use like liquid glue, it's going to be lumpy, bumpy, and it might even tear because the liquid glue sometimes can do that if the paper is, not thick enough. So I always use the stick glue because I think it works better for this purpose. So I've glued it on one side and now I'm going to glue it on the other side. And once that's done, it's just a matter of snipping up the middle and on the corners and then doing like, you're going to wrap a present or something. And it usually works really well like that. Now, the thing is, you have to also worry about give in the cover. So I always, instead of gluing both at the same time, I glue one side first and then I glue the other side just to make sure. And then I'll fold it over like this to make sure that it's tight and looks okay, but that it's not too tight and it won't close. Because sometimes that can happen. It's happened to me before where I tried to glue both sides at the same time. And oh boy, to close was almost impossible. I had to take off one side and then kind of fold it and try to get it to, work by, re-gluing it a second time, the second half, so that it could actually close. So here, as you can see, I'm snipping the sides like I told you. The sides up the middle just to where the bag begins. And then on the corners, because I want to, kind of fold that over like present style. So it's nice and clean and neat and tidy on the outside. You're going to see later on, it was a struggle for the inside. So usually when I do this kind of, style, I really like that there's some kind of nice end papers on the inside of the junk journal. So I'm probably, I guess you could say I'm bougie junk journal maker, because I'll use like a McDonald's bag, but I'll use some nice paper from Pippa and, construction paper. And I'll try to use the best paper that I have to make it really look like a nice journal. Yeah. But anyway, I'm kind of bougie like that, but that's just how I've been doing it from the beginning. So I put a lot more into using different types of paper in this one than I usually do. So once I finish this, you're going to see that I struggled, like I said, with the inside papers. And I mean, I guess it's because of my book side, because I'm a really big book lover and I love a beautiful book. So when I can get a beautiful book that has beautiful end papers, I feel like if I'm making a junk journal, it should be the same, like it should have at least some decent end papers. So I'm almost finished this process here, and it's going extremely well. By this point, I am thrilled because there's, not been any difficulties. Glue's working perfect. My measurements are spot on. No horrible surprises. Yeah, this is probably smooth sailing for the moment. So I'm not, at all, worried or have anything going wrong. So we have a good base to work with for the junk journal. And that's the most important thing. Because if you get a bad start, like maybe the paper doesn't look right, or it won't fold properly, or it's too short, or it's too long, or it's tearing, or it doesn't work with this, or, there can be all kinds of things that can go wrong. But this one right here is going just fine. So no complaints from me at this point. But you'll soon see that things get a bit more difficult. But I hang in there and I get it. I get it done. It's no problem. So here I'm trying to fold over that last little bit, but then I forgot to fold over, the side pieces. So I just have to simply pull it off and, put a little bit of glue and refold them over. It's not, an issue. The main thing is that everything looks nice and clean, and, there's no size issue or I can't close my journal issue. We don't want that. Now, I would have left some kind of opening for a closure, because I was thinking about doing a button closure for this journal. But since it's an art journal for Junk Journal July, I'm not sure how thick my journal is actually going to be at the end. So I think what I'm going to do is get some nice ribbon to just tie it off. I don't think I'm going to be able to, to make the button closure like I would like. And on top of the button closure, you need to have quite a few, concessions made when you're covering the journal to make a button closure. And I haven't done any of that. So we're going to go with a simple tie off for the moment, unless I can find another way to close my journal. Like if I could find like an elastic or something that I could just put around it or something like that, that would be great too, but I'm not really sure. So I think it's probably going to be some ribbon, probably on the pink or the red or the white side of things. So now it's all done. It's all covered, and that's great. But here comes the issue right here. I open it up, and now I'm looking at the construction paper that I have, which these I think are A4 size, and I got them on sale before the stationery shop in my town closed here in Normandy where I live. And I got these sheets for some ridiculously cheap price. So I bought just a whole bunch of them. And these are just a few that are left because I bought like a major stack and I've been using them. So I get this sheet out and I'm looking at it. Now I know you can see that this does not match because This one on the top is like almost going towards some kind of weird green color or something, but it's like an off white or off gray or something. And I'm like putting it up and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I could work with that. I don't know. Then I'm like, ooh, that red looks good. Yeah, the red looks good, but it don't fit and I only have one sheet. So what do? I'm going to make this thing fit. So what do? I was like, no, I'm going to make it fit. I fold that bitch in half. I cut it into, I'm like, okay, we gonna link this up with the craft paper. I'm going crazy right here because I'm just thinking, yeah, this is gonna work. And I'm thinking at the same time, girl, this is not going to work. This is not cute. I'm thinking this when I'm doing it, but I'm still trying to do it. So then I said, okay, well, clearly that red isn't working. The sheets are too small. Okay, well, let me try to work it with this craft paper. So here I am trying to do with the craft paper. And I know good and well this craft paper does not look good on the inside of this particular print. I don't know. I just was like, I don't know. We got to make it work. Usually what I do is I choose the paper and then the inside I choose at the same time so that I kind of know what I'm setting myself up for. There are no surprises because I don't ever want to have it where I cover it with some paper and then I realize I have nothing to match to go on the inside. So what do? Then I say, okay, let's try it with the same paper on the inside. Girl, no, that's not going to work. So here I am back again. Let's go back to those red sheets. We can make it work. We can make it work. No, we're not making that work. It cannot work. So at this point, I'm a little bit like back to the craft paper again. And I'm thinking there has got to be a better way. There has got to be a better way. Now, after the fact, I could have used something else. Okay, now this was really a stretch. This is like the outside of an old notebook, but no, that was never going to work. Then I got this paper out and I said, okay, now this could work. So this is nothing more than 2 sheets of watercolor paper. And it's the end of a pad that I had of watercolor paper. So I cut off the spiral edges, of course, because we don't want that. And it actually did go through this thick paper because I was thinking it's never going through this. And I kind of wanted a straight edge because, these are inside papers. So I want them to somewhat look nice and cleanly cut. So I cut the second one and I cut it too close to the edge of these, of the spiral edges. So I had to recut it again because it was poorly cut. But anyway, the main thing is I got it done. The color is perfect for the journal. I mean, I would have liked to be able to have something pink. And I'd forgotten, but I had something that I could have used on the inside that would have really made it look good. But I didn't, I forgot about it. So I probably need to do inventory and get my shit more organized because if I would have seen that one, I would have used that one right away. It would have been really pretty because it was like pink. But, I didn't use it. Maybe I'll make a second one like this and I'll use that pink paper for the inside. So this is a bookmark or whatever, a marker, string marker that I made out of some of the charms that I had bought recently and using some silk cord. Now the silk cord is not red. It is not pink. It is orange. But you know what? It still goes. So what I did was I used the coral silk string and I use white string, and the white string is basically needlepoint thread, and I just kind of intertwine them. So some of the charms are on the orange silk string and the other ones are on the white one, and I tried to make it long enough so that it would surpass the book just a little bit, sticking out. And there are a lot of little, different ones. And I thought, yeah, that would add like a nice touch. That's a little different. So here, I am realizing I need to try to figure out how I'm going to put this in. Now, I'm not really very good at putting these strings in. I've never really watched anybody's video to see how to do it. This is how I'm doing it. Now, I don't know. I might need to find a better way. But what I did was I just taped it next to the crease of the book so that it won't interfere with my sewing when I decide to sew the pages in, and the string will be covered by some craft paper, but yet it will still overhang and make a good bookmark. So I'm using the tape to secure it just next to the middle string. And it seems to work, but I'm not so sure about how far down I should have it because, the down at the bottom, you have the knot and the overhang. And as you can see here, I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that it might be just a bit too long. So I'm going to have to lift that string for it, to aesthetically look better. So what I decided to do was to cover this string, I was going to trim off a little bit of the craft paper because it's light and thin, and use that to cover the string so that you can't see it. Now, I probably could have just simply glued it into the back, but I didn't want it to be visible. I had an issue with it being visible. I think it looks better when it's not visible. So, so you can't see where it's attached. So I'm kind of looking here to see, how much does it interfere? And it looks like I've placed it properly because it is right next to the crease, which means that the paper on the right will somewhat cover this string, but I have to lift the knot because it's just a bit too long. So I will then go and retape it a little bit further up so that it's out of the way. And I'm using just regular like Scotch tape. Like this is the tape I use when I send mail to my pen pals. I'll use this Scotch tape to sometimes tape over things that may be on the envelope that I'm afraid are going to fall off in transit. So I use this thick, wide, transparent Scotch tape, which works super well. So I've used that, and now I just simply have to glue this strip over the string. Now, the strip is going to be over the main crease, but for me, that's not a problem. The main thing is that I cannot see the string, and it doesn't interfere in the sewing by being right on the crease. So thank goodness I managed to measure that out so that like it did not interfere with, the sewing, which is on the main crease of the junk journal. So once this is glued in, I feel like I'm pretty confident with myself here because everything seems to be flowing pretty well. No complaints on anything other than the fact that I couldn't find a really interesting end page, for the journal. We just got plain old off-white paper, off-white watercolor paper, but it doesn't look bad. This what I started with. I know you could see it. You're probably thinking, what's she doing? That doesn't fit. It doesn't match. I know it did match. It did match. This matches. It's fine. It's just not special, but it works. So we're going to go with that. So at this point, it's just a matter of me making sure I place the paper correctly. Oh, and I just realized there that the paper on the right was literally a millimeter too long. So I tried to cut that millimeter off so that this 2 pages would be exactly the same size, being that they are sitting right next to each other. So I managed to cut off that millimeter, and as you can see there, it is spot on. It's correct. So now I just simply have to watch my placement, check the crease. So you see where I'm checking the crease right now. And I go back, and so I can see the crease now even more because, the string is hiding behind the crease. So now it's a matter of taking consideration the crease and glue on your paper correctly. So here I'm using a stick, but I think I could have used a bit of runny glue as well. The thing is, you just have to be careful. I always try with the stick first, and then if after a while I can see that some bits have not, glued properly, then I will use some runny glue and then try to put something heavy to sit on top of it while it adheres. Because I don't really like using the runny glue with the paper for obvious reasons. It just gets messy and it looks lumpy when you finish, and I don't like that. Specifically on the outside. On the inside, I could probably get away with it because the paper the end paper is really like a type of construction paper, so it's quite thick. The outside paper is not thick, it's quite thin. So I would not recommend using runny glue on that paper. I would, only go with the stick. So here I am trying to glue this together, and I realized at one point that it's just a bit too far away. Okay, there I got it. It got it to fold. So now I have got all of my inside papers, and I have a lot of them. I'm not gonna lie. So I've put paper clips on to hold them together so I don't have to worry about that. I'm using here some cotton wax thread that I found in the shops a while ago. And I said, I'm going to get this, not knowing what I would use it for, but I'm using it for this. Because I originally wanted to use another kind of string that I had, but I think it was too thick. It would not work. So I decided to use this particular thread because of its thickness. It's not as thick. And not only that, it's white. Because I wanted the thread to be white. I did not want black, and I didn't have any white thread. This cotton wax thread came and saved me. So this is where things become a little bit more difficult because sewing is always difficult. Now, I don't have, the long, tools so that I can, stapler so I can staple all the way into the crease. I don't have any of that. I usually just sew my journals together. I haven't tried using other methods like Coptic method yet, but that's my next thing to do, is to do a journal and sew it Coptic style. So here I'm using a plastic needle, which is for needlepoint for like big squares. But I picked up that needle so that I could use thicker thread to go through, the journals. And so you're going to see this is the whole situation here. So what I'm basically doing is I'm sewing the papers first. And then after, I will sew the papers to the journal. And I opted to do that because I have a lot of pages. I don't want anything falling out. I don't want, any issues with the papers, not being sewn properly. So I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to let you just watch how I work through these issues of sewing. To be honest, sewing, when you want to sew the pages in, you just have to be patient. Patient and let things flow. Okay, so I'm going to let you watch and I'll be back a little bit later in the video. So I'm back. So as you could see, the sewing was a whole situation. It takes a lot of time and effort to do it. Patience is a virtue. No need in getting frustrated, upset, especially when you're working with thread that's not like regular size thread. I still made it work. I'm happy with it. It's really bound, quite well. So I have no complaints. And it looks good. It's white. It's perfect. Yeah, no complaints. So here you can see I'm putting on some finishing touches to the journal. So I'm making a title page here by putting sort of like doing like a collage kind of title with the black journal sign, and then putting behind some white paper and some craft paper. So this will add a little bit of finishings to it, and it will look a lot more finished in the end once this is up. Now I'm using these, I don't know what you call these scissors. These are the ones, they're not, I think these are the ones that they have kind of like a curly puts a curly edge on the paper. And I have this pair of scissors, but as you can see, they're plastic. They're pretty much shit. You have to really hold them a certain way, and they don't always cut on all different types of paper. And I also have the ones with the kind of jagged edges as well, and it's also plastic. I only bought those for like €5 or something like that, but I want to now invest in a proper pair, of these scissors, because I do use this function quite a bit. I like the way it looks on certain things, but what I don't like is the state of the paper sometimes when I cut, because the scissors are really cheap. So that will be the next purchase I look to get, is two proper pairs of scissors to do these kinds of jagged and curly cute edges. So anyway, I am now about to put the last, finishing touches on it by putting the Junk Journal 2024 sign on. I think it looks pretty good from the outside. It is quite thickums, and there's nothing in it yet. So I have a feeling it's going to be even thicker once the whole challenge is over. Even though day one's challenge could add some thickness to this journal, but we gonna make it work. So it's looking, I think, pretty nice. I like leaving some extra on the top. You can't really see that now, but you'll see it later in another video. And I like that the bottom is completely, it's even, it's nothing's hanging off. Although I think I did in the end tear down some of the things that were sticking up at the top. You can see that white paper. If I'm not mistaken, I think I tear that a bit so that it's not sticking up as much. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks great, and I'm really happy with it. I wish I could have gotten it done like 2 weeks earlier, but it just couldn't happen then. It just couldn't happen then. Sometimes I do my best work under pressure. But yeah, this one it looks great. And you see, I went back over the inside with some of that runny glue, because it started to come apart. And this is always a little bit of an issue. So but it's good to start slow with the glue stick, and then finish off with a little bit of the runny glue, because a runny glue can be dangerous. And I'm also going to have to invest in some new clips, because I just realized I only have one big clip. This is not good. I need like 2 or 3 big clips. I have 2 or 3 medium-sized ones, and I have quite a lot of little ones. But I need big clips, because when you're working on things and you want things to stay open and, stuff like that, you need big clips. So here I am. I've taken the free materials that Meg journals. She was nice enough to make a little packet for us with some free materials in it. And this is one square at the top has the prompt schedule, and the little square at the bottom has the content creators on YouTube that will be doing a specific video per prompt. So I think the first day, I think it's Meg Journals is doing the first day, and she is the spearheader of this challenge. So I'll be interested to go over and see what she puts forward for Spark, because Spark is the prompt for day one of Junk Journal July. So I'm using the runny glue for this because why? Cardboard onto the watercolor paper, which is also thick, needs some runny glue. It's just not going to get it with a stick. I've tried bending the cards and everything, but I'm going to need the runny glue. So, and problem is I need to go out and buy some more runny glue too, because apparently there isn't so much runny glue in the supermarket now. Because I think the kids here use mostly glue sticks at school. They don't want the kids to use runny glue. And so because of that, in the supermarket, they hardly have any runny glue. So the next time I go to the art store, I'm going to also be looking for runny glue as well. Because I can always find glue sticks, and I always have extra glue sticks around because I use them so fast. So I have glued those on the first inside page because that's going to be a reference for me. So I will always be, looking at that page to see what the next prompt is. And it looks fine like that. I like it with the black behind it. It kind of makes us remember the title page. So now we're at the back of the journal, and I wanted to, make like a pocket in case I wanted to put maybe some scraps or some things that I don't want to forget about because I need to use them. This bag right here is one of the bags that I'll be using pretty frequently. It has a lot of things in it that could interest me for this month of journaling. So I found this old envelope that, is in my paper stash, and I thought I'm going to make just a pretty simplistic pocket with this envelope. So I'm just gluing it down onto the bottom of the back of the journal. And then the picture that I'm putting on top was also, it was in the free materials that Meg Journal, made available for us. So I photocopied everything and I cut this out because I like the one with the pages like that. I feel like that looks really good. And I thought, why not cover this envelope with that? That way I kind of bring in, a little bit of Meg's, free materials. So I quite like it. And I might even add some of her other free materials into either some of the daily prompts or maybe maybe as free pages. I might have a few pages that will not have anything specifically for the prompts, but that I may want to add just to, break up things. So I will be looking forward to seeing what I come up with for my free pages. But I quite like this little setup right here. I think it'll be great if I want to drop anything in there. It's pretty secure. It's an envelope, beautifully covered. I'm very happy with it. And it adds a nice, little touch to the, to the whole journal. And I feel like it really is something that is going to be nice to look at as the months go on. I'm going to be so excited to see how I manage with these prompts and how big the journal is going to get. Thanks for coming to watch me do my journal for Junk Journal July, and I'll see you with another video really soon. Bye.